this is absolutely not about drugs. I mean, the president just pardoned the former Honduran president, who was supposed to serve 45 years for bringing cocaine into America. So this is absolutely not about Venezuela and drugs.
So what do you think it is about?
I think it is absolutely about, number one, access to oil.
Listening to that, and joining us now is Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, former Commanding General of U.S. Army in Europe. Lieutenant General, thank you for giving us your time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alexis.
Your view on what we've seen take place at the moment, what's your understanding of that military operation? Was some of the strikes that we saw in Caracas and the military bases a cover for what we believe is the Delta Force to come in and capture President Maduro and his wife and take him to the U.S.?
Well, first, let me say Stephen's report that he just gave was very useful and professional. That helps, I think, all of us understand a little bit more about what's going on there. Of course, the details of the military part of this, what assets and capabilities would have been used, I think can speculate that, obviously very well trained and equipped special operators were part of this. But I also have to believe that there was help on the inside. In fact, you would hope there would have been help on the inside. The key here is the Venezuelan military, and I imagine they would have gone through some calculations about, which direction to go, and they could see that Maduro was not going to be around for a lot longer.
Are you surprised that there wasn't much response from the Venezuelan military?
So, the whole world has been watching President Trump threaten Maduro and all these things going on out in the Caribbean, and then it started increasing the last few days. There are even some reports that this was going to happen back around Christmas, but then the strikes against ISIS in Nigeria took priority. So nobody in the government of Venezuela or the military should have been caught by surprise that something might happen. The fact that these special operators could get in there and grab him without massive fighting or something going on, it really does make you think that not only was it very skillfully executed, but again, there was no determined resistance, at least as far as I know here in the first few hours.
Are you sure that what we saw happen was similar to what we've seen the US carry out before? We mentioned earlier on in the show Panama and the actions that the US have taken before. President Noriega, of course, was removed. He ended up in an America jail. Does this strike similarities to you?
Well, perhaps in one aspect of it, the fact that President Noriega had been taken out and went to trial. But of course, that was Panama, where we had already on the ground a large American presence. You had bases there. Whereas here, these guys had to do an entry, a covert entry to get into Venezuela to do this. But I think something that is, I'm watching very closely, not only the Venezuelan military, but also the Cubans. There are reports of maybe as many 30,000 Cuban operators of different sorts that are in Venezuela. And they are the power behind Maduro that kind of kept him in place, because Cuba depends so much on Venezuelan oil. No Venezuelan oil, then the Cuban regime collapses. So if there is, in fact, going to be a regime change of some sort, then I think they will have to account for these thousands of Cubans, what's their reaction, as well as the Venezuelan military. I don't know that, but that's a force that's there somehow, and I would hope and imagine that U.S. intelligence would have taken that into account as well. Alexis, the last thing I'd mention, if you'll allow me, I still am most concerned about what's next. I mean, frankly, getting Maduro was the easy part. And the U.S. has done this several times. What we have not done well is think it through all the way to the end. And what do we want it to look like when it's all over? It did not turn out well in Iraq or Afghanistan or Vietnam or most of our other sort of operations like this. And I'm not confident that this administration has that answer. They have not yet clearly identified the strategic objective. What is it that we're trying to do? This is absolutely not about drugs. I mean, the president just pardoned the former Honduran president, who was supposed to serve 45 years for bringing cocaine into America. So this is absolutely not about Venezuela and drugs.
So what do you think it is about?
I think it is absolutely about, number one, access to oil. I mean, the administration several days ago started talking about how this was stolen from the United States somehow. But it's also a manifestation of this new national security strategy that the administration released, which basically says the Western Hemisphere is ours and cedes Europe to the Russians, and in a way almost does the same thing in the Indo-Pacific. And so this means that what I used to kind of be dismissed, the threats against Greenland, for example, I think these are should be taken much more seriously now, seeing what the administration is doing. I would imagine Cuba is on their list, but I would absolutely not put it past this administration to use some sort of force to gain control of Greenland. This worries me, obviously, and I think the Chinese are paying close attention as well, that they can see, okay, so the U.S. can just swoop in and grab the head of a government that they don't like. I think this really undermines our credibility and opens windows of opportunity for China.
Just finally, Lieutenant General, has Congress got a part to play here, or are they completely powerless?
Well, they have a massive responsibility, but they are acting as if they're bystanders. I mean, the Senate Armed Services Committee, the leadership of that committee, for example, has said this morning that they were never informed that this attack was about to happen. That is a standard sort of thing that the leadership of the top oversight committees in the House and Senate on security and defense and intelligence are typically informed ahead of time. That did not happen this time. And I think the administration has, for some time now, been doing whatever they want, going around the Congress. And of course, it's Republican leadership in the Congress. So Senator Thune, the majority leader, and Speaker Johnson, if the fact that the Congress is not playing its constitutional role, shame on them.
Lieutenant General, thank you for giving us your time and your words. Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, former commanding general of U.S. Army in Europe.